Lisa always believed in the power of new beginnings. She grew up in a simple neighborhood, the daughter of a strong woman who supported the household alone as a seamstress after her husband left too soon. From a young age, she learned that dreams don't come true on their own. They require courage, work, and sometimes stubbornness. While still young, she began to carve her path, taking what she had in her hands and transforming it into possibilities. She had a sharp, practical sense and an almost magical intuition for knowing when to take risks. She wasn't exactly ambitious, but she wanted something of her own, and that drove her. It was on an ordinary night, at an unpretentious dinner, that she met Joshua. A mutual friend, Lisa's childhood friend and now Joshua's neighbor, thought it would be interesting to gather some people for a quiet evening at home. Nothing much, just good food, low music, and light conversations. Lisa almost decided not to go. She was tired, her head full of work-related things. But they insisted, and she went. And it was there, amidst laughter and glasses of wine, that she saw Joshua for the first time. He was discreet, spoke little, but had a welcoming demeanor. They talked for a good part of the night as if they had known each other for a long time. Joshua was the only son of Pauline, a proud widow who had dedicated her life to raising him with solid values. He followed the path she had dreamed for him: law school, a stable career as a corporate lawyer, an apparently safe life. That night, he didn't find answers, but he found Lisa, with her steady gaze and her light way of talking about life. She listened to him with genuine attention, and he observed her with a silent curiosity. They started seeing each other naturally, first in casual gatherings with friends, then in cafes, leisurely walks, and late-night message exchanges. Before they knew it, they were building something solid. 2 years later, on a trip to the beach, Joshua knelt in the sand at sunset, and more than offering a ring, he offered presence, partnership, and truth. Lisa, who always knew how to walk alone, realized she was ready, not to depend, but to share. "I want to build our future side by side, Lisa. I want to be your partner in good times and in tough ones. Do you accept me as your husband?" With tears in her eyes and her heart overflowing with happiness, she answered yes. It was then that the dream began to encounter small clouds on the horizon. Pauline, Joshua's mother, received the news with a restrained smile and comments that poorly concealed her disapproval. "So this is the shop owner you talk about so much?" she asked at their first meeting, her eyes assessing Lisa from head to toe. "Interesting that you found someone so entrepreneurial." She had a shop for repairs and custom-made dresses. She had started in a tiny space, almost a cubicle in the municipal market. But over time, with dedication and a unique vision for trends, her small business began to gain notoriety among the women in town, and she managed to open a larger store. But apparently, that wasn't a big deal for Pauline. The engagement dinner was organized at Pauline's favorite restaurant, a traditional place with linen tablecloths and silver cutlery. Lisa made her own dress, simple yet elegant, her own creation that symbolized her essence. Joshua, proud, couldn't take his eyes off his fiancée as family and close friends arrived to celebrate the union. The celebration went on harmoniously. Glasses clinked in toasts, laughter echoed amid lively conversations, until Pauline, after a few glasses of wine, decided to make a special toast. "To my dear son," she began, her voice laced with a false sweetness, "who has always been so dedicated, so promising. And to his chosen one." She turned to Lisa with a tone attempting to be humorous. "Some people really know how to seize a good opportunity." An awkward silence hung over the table. The guests exchanged uneasy glances while Joshua grew pale. Lisa felt as if she had been punched in the stomach, but maintained her composure. Years of building her business from scratch had taught her to face adversities with her head held high. She smiled serenely and raised her glass. "Thank you for the toast, Pauline. Joshua is a wonderful man, and indeed a beautiful opportunity to share my life with someone I deeply respect and love." she said, trying to break the tense atmosphere. The dinner continued, but something had been irreparably broken. Pauline made it clear that she thought Lisa was a gold digger and was with her son for the money. Despite her family having only modest stability, she carried immense pride. She believed that the fact her son was a great lawyer was synonymous with elevated status. In her distorted view, Lisa, an independent woman who ran her own business, could only be after what they had. Little did she know that Lisa's enterprise was not only solid, but also generated almost the same income as her son's salary. In the following months, as they organized the wedding, Lisa tried to build bridges with her future mother-in-law, to no avail. Pauline always found subtle ways to belittle her achievements or insinuate that her son was settling for less. "I don't understand why she treats me this way," Lisa confided one evening, after yet another acerbic remark during the wedding preparations. "I never wanted anything but her respect." Joshua hugged her tightly, guilt and sadness mixed in his expression. "My mother grew up believing that social status is everything. She sacrificed a lot to give me an education and always dreamed of seeing me married to someone from a traditional family. It's not about you personally. It's about the limited world she believes in. But she doesn't even know my reality. My business is doing well. I have loyal clients. I'm expanding. I've never needed anyone's money. I know that, and I immensely admire what you've built. Give her time." The wedding was simple and meaningful, held in a garden with the presence of closest friends. Pauline attended with the demeanor of someone at a funeral, not a celebration. Lisa, determined not to let anything overshadow that day, focused on the happiness of joining her life with the man she loved. The first years were of adaptation and growth. Lisa and Joshua's marriage was built with calmness, presence, and conscious choices. They were not perfect, nor did they live in a fairy tale, but there was a rare kind of respect between them, one that sustains even the difficult days. The first years were of discoveries. Joshua, coming from a methodical and predictable routine in the legal world, was surprised to find pleasure in the simplicity of small routines for two, cooking on Sundays, discussing plans on the porch, traveling with no set destination. Lisa, who was always independent, learned that sharing is also a form of courage. Over time, the emotional partnership extended into their professional lives. Lisa's store, which already had 3 branches in the city, started receiving online orders from other regions. With a strategic vision, she developed an e-commerce platform and expanded her product line, incorporating accessories and home items, always maintaining the artisanal and socially responsible essence. Joshua, realizing the potential of his wife's business, began to dedicate a few hours a week helping with the legal and administrative aspects. What started as sporadic support gradually transformed into a real partnership. 3 years after their marriage, he reduced his workload at the law firm to become the legal director of Lisa's company, which now had a team of 40 employees and exported to 3 countries. The transition was natural, but not without tensions. During this period, the couple maintained minimal contact with Pauline. For the few times they saw each other, she did not hide her dissatisfaction. Meetings on commemorative dates were marked by rehearsed cordiality. There was always a mention of Joshua's colleagues who had become judges or prosecutors, as if to remind him of the brilliant career he was leaving aside. But Joshua did not seem shaken. For the first time, he felt that his days made sense. Working alongside Lisa, building something with purpose, and seeing the real impact of his decisions was more rewarding than any institutional prestige. More than just partners, they became life partners in every dimension. Each achievement was celebrated together, each difficulty faced as a team. And above all, there was a calm certainty between them, that they were where they were meant to be, together. Lisa and Joshua built a happy and prosperous life. Their house, a cozy 2-story in a tree-lined neighborhood, reflected both their personalities. Open spaces filled with natural light, reforested wood furniture, and everywhere, small handcrafted touches that told stories of different artisan partners of the company. It was on a sunny Sunday afternoon, 5 years after that fateful engagement dinner, that the doorbell rang unexpectedly. Lisa, who was organizing fabric samples for the new collection on the living room table, went to answer it. Upon opening the door, she was confronted with an almost unrecognizable version of Pauline. The woman, always impeccably dressed and with an upright posture, now seemed to have shrunk. Dishevelled hair, deep dark circles under her eyes, and clothes that suggested better days. Pauline? Lisa couldn't hide her surprise. Did something happen? The woman kept her gaze down, her hands twisting nervously. I need to talk to Joshua. Is he here? Lisa invited her in and called her husband, who was in the office reviewing documents. Seeing his mother in that state, Joshua rushed to support her. Mum, what happened? Why didn't you call me? Sitting on the sofa with a cup of tea that Lisa had kindly prepared, Pauline finally revealed her situation. In recent years she had made unsuccessful investments, advised by a friend who promised extraordinary returns. She lost almost all of her savings. To make matters worse, she was diagnosed with a heart condition that required continuous treatment, reducing her ability to work as a private piano teacher. I sold the apartment to pay off the debts, she confessed, her voice choked with emotion. I'm staying temporarily at Lourdes' house, but she is moving closer to her daughter next month. I have nowhere to go. Joshua and Lisa exchanged glances, a silent communication they had mastered over the years, but at that moment, they both also shared a silent disbelief. How had something so serious gone unnoticed? Despite the emotional distance, they still saw Pauline somewhat frequently. Birthdays, holidays, brief Sunday lunches. She never let any signs of vulnerability show. She dressed with understated elegance, spoke with authority, and maintained that always lofty air as if everything was under control. Even the conversations were measured, avoiding any opening that might reveal her difficulties. Lisa, despite her always sharp intuition, respected her mother-in-law's boundaries and never forced a connection. Joshua, on the other hand, understood his mother's struggle with vulnerability, both others and her own. She had spent her entire life upholding an image of strength, as if admitting flaws were a personal failure. But now there, with hunched shoulders and a broken voice, Pauline could no longer hide it. She had reached her limit. You can stay with us, Pauline, Lisa said with calm firmness. We have the guest room. It's small but comfortable, at least until we find a better solution. Pauline raised her eyes, genuine surprise on her aged face. She expected help from her son, perhaps some money lent, a temporary favour, but not this offer, especially coming from Lisa. I don't want to bother. I know our relationship has never been... She hesitated, as if the words weighed even more than the years. I haven't been fair to you, Lisa. The past is the past, Lisa replied. There was no rehearsal in her speech, only serene clarity. Now we need to look forward and resolve this together. We're family, after all. In the following weeks, Pauline settled into the guest room. Initially withdrawn, she avoided the common areas when Lisa was home. But the daily interaction began to break down old impressions. Without social masks and distance, she began to see, for the first time, the woman behind the daughter-in-law she had judged so harshly. And what she saw made her rethink everything. She observed Lisa waking up early for video conferences with international suppliers, her genuine dedication to the well-being of the employees, her care in ensuring honest and sustainable practices with everything. Even more impressive was witnessing her relationship with Joshua, a true partnership based on mutual respect and admiration. One morning, Pauline found Lisa in the kitchen, having a small meal before going to the office. You really built something admirable, she said, breaking the awkward silence that usually hung between them. Joshua told me that all your employees are women in vulnerable situations, and that's very beautiful. Lisa smiled, surprised by the openness. It's a project that has special meaning for me. My mother was one of those women, you know. She raised me alone, working as a seamstress. I believe everyone deserves an opportunity. Pauline nodded, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "I also raised Joshua on my own," she confessed. "After my husband passed away, I turned fear into unwavering pride. I believed that only positions of prestige could ensure my son's security." Lisa placed her coffee cup on the table and looked at her mother-in-law gently. Different paths, same intention: to protect those we love. That moment marked the beginning of a gradual transformation. As the months went by, Pauline found her place in that family. Her knowledge of music proved valuable when Lisa decided to invite her to play occasionally in her main store. Gradually, the former piano teacher began to organize small performances by local talents in the space. This gave her a better living condition, allowing her to move to an apartment to live alone again so as not to bother her son and daughter-in-law. Joshua watched in amazement as two such important women in his life, who once seemed like water and oil, were now building a relationship based on mutual respect. No mention was made of the past, the harsh words, or the malicious insinuations. Lisa's generosity paved the way for Pauline to find redemption without humiliation. The path was not always smooth, but each obstacle served to strengthen the bonds of those people. And on an ordinary day, as 3 generations gathered under the same roof, it became clear that the greatest wealth would never be measured in bank accounts or social status, but in the capacity to forgive, to start over, and to see beyond first impressions. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.